6 is a pseudo-sufficient assumption question. So we're going to pick an answer choice where if we stick it into the argument becomes really, really good. Not necessarily a valid argument because it's pseudo-sufficient assumption, right? Most helps to justify. So let's see. The argument says a criticism of the popular film comedy for not being realistic is misguided. So that's our conclusion, right? I mean, if I read this, I'm like, okay, you got to convince me that this criticism, right, that our movie, Quirks, our movie, is shielded from this charge of, oh, you're not realistic, right? I want to protect my movie, Quirks, from the charge that you're not realistic. That's, that's really misguided, right? The charge is misguided. So, okay, why? Right, conclusion, why? Well, it's certainly true that. So, see, this is how you begin a concession statement, right? You're conceding this point away. This is not part of your argument, right? You're like, oh, look, I'll grant you, right, my opponent, I'll grant you, it certainly is true that the characters are too stylized to be real people. See, you just conceded that it's not realistic. So how are you still going to make your argument that our film Quirks is protected from this charge of not being realistic, right? It must be that it's not important to be realistic, right? Because you just conceded away the point that it's not realistic, too stylized to be realistic. That could be a problem. You further concede that could be a problem, right? But, okay, so that's our contextual word that changes over from I guess I don't want to call it context here. It is context, but it's the points that you're conceding away, right? But really, our argument begins here. Our premises begin here. In this case, the resulting film is funny, right? It's a lot of referential stuff, right? When the characters are too stylized, it's funny, and that's the important thing for comedy, right? So that's our argument, right over here. This is premises, conclusion. So now think about this for a second. What did we just say about Quirks? We said about Quirks that stylization makes the film funny, which is the important thing for a comedy. Therefore, it's shielded against the charge of not being realistic. But we just conceded away that it is not realistic. So how come it's not a fair criticism to call this, right? Why is it misguided to say Quirks is not realistic? Well, that's exactly what we need to find an answer that helps us, right? That helps us make that jump. Right, and that's exactly what D does. Look, if a film Quirks succeeds within its genre, and that's what the Quirks film did. Right, for a comedy, it's funny. That's the important thing. So check sufficient condition. Check, right, succeeded within its genre. Then it's successful. There you go. Right, that's why it's a misguided. It's already successful. It's misguided of you to talk about it being not real. Why don't you talk about it like it not tasting good? Right, because you're not supposed to eat a comedy film. Right, just like how you're not supposed to judge a comedy film by being realistic. It's misguided to try to eat a comedy film, just like how it's misguided to try to judge a comedy film on how realistic it is. Right, that's what D does for us. Right, I mean, A and B kind of close, could have worked. Films should be judged on how well they fit within their genre. Right, if you said that, then A would have been great. But it doesn't say that, how accurately they capture the world. But this one, I don't think it does, right, because it's not realistic. And B, films are successful as long as they fit within their genre, right? Again, I mean, that's not what it says. Popular? I don't know if Quirks was popular, right? Neither do you. Film comedies should find their humor in their stylistic portrayals. This one is like, yeah, okay, I mean, fine. So comedies, that's where they find their humor, right? In stylistic portrayal. And that's exactly what Quirks did. Quirks found the humor in the stylistic portrayals, right? So, okay. So I guess Quirks followed the principle that you laid out for where comedies should find their humor. But that doesn't answer the question, right? I mean, this leaves completely open the question, right? You have a film that finds its humor in stylistic portrayal. Okay, is that comedy then shielded from a criticism of not being realistic? No, right? You see, you can still, I mean, according to B doesn't protect our film from this criticism at all. You can still levy a charge of, hey, you're not realistic, right? That's still a legitimate criticism if C's our operating principle, right? Whereas D, look at how well D shields it. No, you don't need to talk about how realistic or not. It's successful, right? It's a successful film, right? As long as the sufficiency condition is met, right? And E is similar to C in that respect. Film should try to stay entirely within a genre. I mean, guys, I don't even know if this thing breaks boundaries of does it extend beyond the comedy genre? I don't know, right? Assuming it does, right? Then it's just doing what E says it should do. Does that mean it's protected against this criticism? No, it doesn't.